Hey everybody, it's Doug and Gina from Bliss Life.
We're here in Chicago in our friend Mo's kitchen, bringing to you some of our favorite superfood recipes. And we want to share them with you right now because we feel like it's a really important time to share with you how you can take back your health, how you can control your health, control what goes in your body, and actually really feel great and really not spend money on lots of health food supplements, because sometimes people think that if they're going healthy, they really gotta spend tons and tons of money. And that's actually not true.
Not necessary.
Not at all. So, what are fermented foods? Fermented foods, just simply put, are vegetables or fruits or foods that have been left to sit and allow the good bacteria already present on them to proliferate and take over. Those good bacteria pre-digest the sugars, the proteins, they break down the fats, and you're left with basically amino acids and minerals. And that's mega nutrition for you because it's pre-digested by those bacteria, so you don't have to work, your body doesn't have to work to digest it. We spend about 80% of our energy digesting our food. And so if you're tired right now, if you're yawning while listening to this, think about what you just ate, because it takes a while to break that down in your system, and this stuff really helps you. It also replaces, if you're taking digestive enzymes, it's a really good replacement for that. It's a really good replacement for probiotics. Most probiotics out in the store, the pills, they don't work. This stuff is food, and it's really, really hearty because the bacteria present on it gets delivered to your digestive tract as food, something familiar to your body, not as a pill. A lot of the new probiotic pills are a lot better. They keep getting better with the enteric coating and all that great stuff. But with food, you actually get bacteria that are natural, supposed to be on that food. They're not made in a factory. And I really think every time we do something like this, every time we take our health into our own kitchen, we learn a lot about ourselves and our body, but we also place a vote. And that's another reason why we're here. A lot of our friends and family in California and across the United States are very upset about Proposition 37 for labeling GMOs, GMO foods, not passing.
I don't see how that could not pass.
Truth is, we don't know if it really didn't pass.
It didn't pass.
We're being told that it didn't pass, and so we're being told that our foods might be genetically modified, and we know about 80 to 90% of them already are, but they don't want to let us know that. They don't want to write it on the label. They don't want to let us know what we're eating. And that frustrates a lot of people who really put a lot of effort into making that labeling possible, just want to make healthy food more available. And so when you eat fermented foods, you reduce the amount of food that you eat overall. Because it's pre-digested, you get 80% more of the nutrition from all of the other food you eat along with it. So let's say you have some fermented food and you have a steak. You're going to get more of the protein out of that steak because the fermented food helped you digest that. And so you're not going to need to eat as much. Now, the way I see it is that you're going to feel great after eating these, and a lot of these little details don't necessarily matter. But think about it. If you're not buying so much from the shelves, that's one way of voting with your money and voting for your health. So these foods have mega multi-dimensional benefits that you will see for yourself, you will feel for yourself as you begin to eat them. So we have three foods to show you today. We have a simple sauerkraut, which we're making with cabbage. But, you know, if you don't like cabbage, you can use carrots, anything. Really, you can ferment any vegetable you like. Beets. We're going to use cabbage today. We have a very delicious garlic. We call it medicine.
It doesn't taste like
it tastes amazing. Like medicine.
You know, we do eat this just about every day. Whether you're sick or healthy or, you know, in between, this just sets your body right. You know, having a couple of these cloves of garlic, and I'm not like, I can't chew on just raw garlic, but I can have a bulb of this that's been sitting there and fermenting for a while.
He's talking about a whole bulb.
A whole bulb.
Yes, how many garlic cloves are on a bulb? Like,
I mean, it depends on, yeah.
I've had, seriously, I've eaten 10.
I've eaten it raw before too, and it's pretty strong. But
Yeah,
this is
but
like
with these-
mild, and this has just got a lot of flavor in it. And you can just kind of, I know it sounds crazy, but just pop one in your mouth, and that's your, you know, your flu shot. You know, like
Yeah.
that is your real medicine, and it was great for your body. All it did was boost your immune system. No negative side effects. It's just
And
an
how
awesome.
cheap is garlic?
Yeah, we put
How
that
cheap
together
is garlic?
at a really
This
decent
is
price.
such a, you know, and they last so long. You know, it's harvest season right now, right? So we're going out there and we're getting the last crops of the year. Well, how do you preserve things without necessarily boiling them down, you know, and putting them in cans? Fermented foods, and oh my God, you know, they last forever. I've heard people say they last 6 months, but I've heard other people say they last for a year. I know that we've had a couple unopened bottles for a year, and they were fine when we open them, but usually we eat so much of them that they don't last in our house that long, but they can be preserved for that long. The third and most spectacular thing we're going to make today is the fermented chocolates. I love them. So you'll see about those in just a moment. We'll start with the cabbage. We'll start with the sauerkraut. And we make our fermented foods slightly differently. You're going to see a lot of information about fermented foods all over the internet, different videos, and our friend Kevin Gianni wrote a book, great book with tons and tons of recipes. And everyone has a different way of fermenting, and so it's good to really find out, you know, what works best for you. We do it this way, and we feel that they're more beneficial, as in they're more abundant in the kind of bacteria that you want to help you get rid of illness and help you detox and help you absorb your food. So we'll start with the cabbage. And what we do first is we create a brine, and the brine is going to be kind of like the little home, so to speak, for the healthy bacteria to live on. So it's a liquid that we make. And so this will be step one if you're going to make your homemade fermented vegetables, is you will create a brine. And that brine is going to consist of about 1/3 of the vegetables that you want to ferment. So today we took just plain cabbage and a little bit of carrot. So we take about 1/3 of that, and we add enough water to it so that when you blend it in the blender, it's liquid. So you just measure it out depending on how much you're making at once. There you go. So just make that brine.
So we're going to blend this up.
You blend it up, and then you get something like that.
Yeah. Because really you want to have this kind of going while you're making your veggie mix.
Right. So here's another cool step that we do. We take this brine, which is liquid and vegetable, and we add some sweetener to it, because sweetener is what feeds the good bacteria, right? They love to eat sugar. They also love to eat minerals and stuff.
They love to eat junky sugar too, but you want to go with as clean a sugar as you can.
So we go ahead and we create this sweet brine, right? And then you add a culture starter to it. We use Body Ecology culture starters, which contain plantarum bacteria, and the cabbage contains plantarum bacteria. So all it is nature amplified, really. It's not, there's nothing artificial in there. The bacteria comes from cabbage, and it's just freeze-dried, and then we use it to help make our recipe a little bit more abundant in that good bacteria. So you want to go ahead and put that together now?
Yeah.
So you would have this brine sitting while you were chopping up your vegetables. And you can chop them up in any way that you like, or you could, we shredded our cabbage today with a knife. You could use a food processor if that's easier for you.
Yeah, like I did this one with the food processor. And that's like all good and everything. And these ones right here, you can see they're a lot thicker, and that should make them crispier, which is kind of like a flavor that you start going for. like initially when we started making these, Gina was kind of just sneaking them into things for me. She'll put some in like a sandwich or a salad that I was eating, and I never even questioned it, you know. For anybody who has to sneak food to others, because after a while of having it, I started kind of craving the taste, which is a wonderful thing about these veggies, is that they make you crave them, and the more that you crave them, the more that you have, the better that you feel in general. I mean, there's a limit to everything.
So veggies in every meal.
In every meal. But I mean, there's so, like, you will feel the benefits. You will feel it. You'll be more regular.
With your poop.
Yeah. Clear-minded. You know, I mean, it's just, they're wonderful to have around. And all you really need is, you know, at the beginning, is just a spoonful a day, you know.
Just to start you out. I mean, if you
put some salt on it, just have that spoonful, and then eventually you just start
wanting more.
You really start wanting more, and you don't only just crave it, but you crave what it's doing to your body. You crave just the nutrition that you're getting out of it, and it's wonderful.
So a couple of differences between how we make our cultured veggies and how, you know, traditional is. We don't use salt. That's a huge thing because most people actually ferment with salt. Salt is a really great preservative, but unfortunately it does inhibit the growth of the good bacteria as well. If you put salt in your cultured veggies, you make it so that you don't have as much beneficial bacteria in there. But also the salt makes it crispier, so you can add a little bit of salt because these bacteria, they don't only eat sugar, they like minerals. So a little bit of salt is okay, that's up to you. I really like to salt them when they're finished. And then again, we use a body ecology culture starter to help amp up that good bacteria, the good plantarum bacteria that's already in the vegetables. And then we store ours in a glass jar just because it's...
Yeah, you don't want to necessarily be using metal or anything like that. Not only will you taste it, in my opinion, but because I can taste it whenever something's prepared in metal. That's why we did everything in glass here. But I mean, it just leaches out, so you're eating it. You know. And this right here, this is the sterilized one. Okay, good. So we're gonna pack it into here, but everything is really sterile. My hands are sterile. Like I wouldn't have been going through here unless I boiled them off and then regenerated these ones. And this, you know, usually what we'll do is we'll just fill up a big pot with water, let it boil, and then drop these in and let them cook. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start taking this, now that it's been sitting in the brine for a while, and it's kind of gotten all around, and I will just start.
So this plantarum bacteria that's really alive and kicking on the cabbage, that has the ability to counteract the side effects of antibiotics, of radiation, like EMFs, and like going through a, what do you call those things? Those
oh yeah, at the
airport. Those scanners that you go through, as well as
I'll go through those.
Birth control. And so there's like very practical uses for these, besides the fact that they help you digest all of your food, help you detox out metals. They're really fantastic. So if you feel as though you've eaten, you know, something that is bad or something not so good for you, these do help get it out of your system a lot quicker.
Yeah.
And again, if you don't like cabbage, one of our favorite recipes, which we should make for you one day, is the green salsa that we do with tomatillos. And you do the same kind of idea. You chop them up and you make a brine and you just fill it with tomatillos, and then after it's all finished, you add whatever spices that would be like salsa spices for you. It's
such a great recipe.
It's so amazing.
You can bring it to any barbecue and just set it down and they will demolish it. Nobody knows that it's probiotic and like helping their digestion. You know, we just kind of sit back and snicker. That's our sly way
we
of
bring
like
all of these veggies. But we
people
hide
love
them
them.
in things. You know, a lot of times we hide them in things. So just know that, you know, you don't have to eat it this way. Of course, a bowl of quinoa with, like, I like to, this exact recipe with some quinoa, some olive oil, some sea salt, and I love to put in caraway seeds. And then maybe add in some steamed vegetables, you know, also.